In a distant village nestled in thick forests, there lived a young girl named Cinderella. She lived with her father, a merchant, and her mother, who taught her manners and kindness. Her life was filled with happiness until the day her mother passed away, changing her life forever. After her mother's death, Cinderella's father decided to remarry. He married a woman with a heart of stone, who had 2 daughters from a previous marriage. From the very first moment, Cinderella's stepmother and stepsisters treated her poorly. Cinderella worked as a maid in her own home while her stepmother and stepsisters lived in luxury. One day, a royal messenger arrived in the village with an invitation for all the girls to attend a ball at the royal palace. The king was looking for a bride for his son, the prince. Cinderella's stepmother was very excited and started preparing her daughters for the ball, completely ignoring Cinderella. On the night of the ball, Cinderella sat in the kitchen crying, until a kind fairy appeared before her. The fairy said, "Don't cry, my dear. I will help you attend the ball." With a wave of her magic wand, the fairy turned Cinderella's old dress into a beautiful gown, and gave her crystal slippers and transformed a pumpkin into a magnificent carriage. Cinderella arrived at the palace and dazzled everyone with her beauty. No one recognized her, not even her stepmother and stepsisters. She danced with the prince all night, and the prince felt he had found the love of his life. But before midnight, Cinderella remembered the fairy's warning that the magic would end at midnight. She ran back home, but lost one of her crystal slippers along the way. The next day, the prince ordered a search for the girl who fit the slipper. The royal men traveled throughout the kingdom until they came to Cinderella's house. The stepsisters tried the slipper, but it didn't fit either of them. When they asked Cinderella to try it on, her stepmother laughed, but was surprised to see that the slipper fit Cinderella perfectly. The royal men took Cinderella to the palace, where she married the prince and lived happily ever after. As for her stepmother and stepsisters, they were punished for their mistreatment of Cinderella. Cinderella lived in happiness, always remembering an important lesson. Hope and hard work bring true happiness. Cinderella lived a life full of joy and love in the palace with the prince. She was loved by all for her kindness and goodness. She helped the poor, supported the needy, and worked to improve the lives of the kingdom's people. Everyone looked up to her as a role model. After years of joy, the kingdom faced a new challenge. There was a long drought that affected the crops and made life difficult for everyone. Cinderella decided to take on the task of helping the kingdom's people. She gathered with the prince and advisors to think of solutions. Cinderella suggested using the palace's resources to provide water and food for the poor. She also started a project to improve the kingdom's irrigation system, and asked everyone to participate in the efforts.